Hey everyone! Today, we'll be looking at a route that you can employ to counter easily one of the most common routes in the meta at the moment. And here's the route that we'll be looking at how to counter today. A very common route in today's meta. And just to clarify this a bit more, this route that we're talking about is where both junglers starts at red, which is very common, paths down to that opposite side of the map, or up to that opposite side of the map in Lee's case, and then invades the jungle and looks to take raptors away if they're up, but definitely does take Krugs up because they're almost always up. And so it's just kind of this mirrored matchup between the two junglers who are trading resources inside the enemy jungle and going even. But we definitely don't want to settle for going even, do we? We want to be trying to look for advantages from the very start of the game, and that's what we're going to be figuring out how to do in this video. So here we are with a challenger Graves who is currently rank 2 on the NA server, boasting some pretty impressive win rates. And the first thing that we're going to see him do this game is to drop a ward into the dot brush here. Not only that, but seconds later, we see him spam pinging assist me onto the opposite dot brush, trying to get his teammates to ward there as well. So it's clear that he's really prioritizing having both of these wards down. And these wards are generally very good to have at level 1, but they're even more important for this specific route. And the reason for the importance of these wards with this route is that, as we'll shortly see, this route focuses on actually staying within your own quadrant of the jungle for quite a while, taking away these camps so that when that enemy jungler paths over and goes for that counter jungle, they have absolutely nothing to take while you're still clearly farming and can take their stuff, getting you quite far ahead. Now the downside to this, of course, is that you're spending more time in your own jungle while they're going out into the river. And they're not always going to be doing this route, but they are almost certainly going to be contesting that scuttle on one side or the other, and you want to make sure that you're able to get one as well. So you're going to be spending more time in your jungle entering the river later, which is going to compromise your ability to get the scuttle, which is where this vision comes in very handy. You'll be able to see which scuttle they go for, and then respawn taking the opposite scuttle, so not only are you going to be getting more farm in your own jungle, you're also going to go even within the river control. Moving on, we see Graves doing just that, clearing out his red buff before running to Krugs, and eventually raptors as well. Now, I do want to immediately point out that not every champion can do this route, as it does require a very strong clear. Some of the champions that can really make this work can be seen here. Anyway, jumping back into it, we see Graves run straight to his bottom jungle. And this is him committing to getting that bottom scuttle. As we mentioned before, he does want to really try to get at least one of these. And at this point, he hasn't seen Lee Sin yet on any ward, so it might seem difficult to know which scuttle Lee Sin is going to go for, but it's actually quite simple if you pay attention to what's going on. For instance, at the start, he saw that a leash did occur on this bottom side, indicating that Lee Sin started at his bottom red buff. Now, by the time that Graves has finished these 3 camps here, it's extremely likely that if Lee Sin were going for the scuttle on this same side of the map, that he already would have shown doing that. So it's very clear that he almost certainly did path up to this top side, and that's what's taking him so long. So that's why Graves feels confident just running straight bottom side and committing to taking that bottom one, while Lee Sin will eventually take that top side one. And we do see Graves run straight into the river for an uncontested scuttle kill, which is great, given that he hard farmed an entire side of his jungle. We see him continue his strategy of hard farming by running back to his blue, before grabbing up his wolves and, finally, running over to kill the Gromp. Then, he finally decides to invade the enemy jungle to look at the enemy Krugs. And after the blue is where Graves had some options that you can definitely consider in your own games, depending on your elo and some other factors. And what I mean by depending on your elo, for example, in this game Graves knows for sure that in High Challenger, this Lee Sin is absolutely going to kill these raptors before going to the top side, because this Lee Sin, as a High Challenger player, knows that the meta is that they're going to be trading, moving into each other's jungles, and would not want to leave this camp up and available for Graves to steal. So Graves knows that he doesn't have to go over there and take this right away, because he's not going to have to take 2 camps in the enemy jungle. He's only going to be taking the one, which is Krugs, so he can spend a bit more time farming his own jungle before heading over. Now in lower elos, this Lee Sin might not think to take raptors because he's not aware that you're going to be invading him down here, and then after blue you could just go straight in and spend more time counter jungling because there are more camps available. Or in lower elos, people might be playing worse champions, less meta champions, who aren't actually able to take the raptors, in which case you can once again just assume that they're up. And this is going to be something that you'll have to figure out and pay attention to as you play. Are they being taken? Are they not? Is it worth it to head over here early, or should you spend more time in your own jungle because it's more reliable? That'll be up to you. Graves was also able to safely delay his invade because his bottom lane has pressure, meaning that if Lee recalls and finds him there, he should be fine. So the timing of your invade will come down to a judgment call for you based on a number of situational factors. And jumping back in, I just want to point something out as Graves works on the Krugs. At this point, Graves is already up by nearly 300 gold, a kill's worth, just through outpathing Lee. Through this route, Graves has taken more of his own camps than Lee, as well as counter jungling 1 bonus camp, leaving Graves with a total of 8 camps and Lee with 6, without ever seeing the opposing jungler. So, if you find yourself trading Krugs or Raptors in your solo queue games, we encourage you to try out this route that we showed you here, going either way depending on where you can get the scuttle, to get a strong gold and experience lead in the early game that you can then use to exert pressure over the enemy jungler and control the early stages of the game. Thanks for watching.